Hey, let's go to it. If you want to go ahead, the big idea for tonight is solid foundation takes care of sin. Solid foundation takes care of sin. One of the big things that I really like to do, if you want to kind of go with the Tim Living translation of the Bible, the TLT, it's solid foundation cleans house. Solid foundation cleans house. For me, there's a lot of stuff that I would push down as a kid growing up. For those of you that don't know or haven't heard my story, I was raised in church. I was born on a Saturday, literally in church on a Sunday. And my mom and dad were like these big like Royal Rangers, missionettes people and stuff like that. But at home, my dad was super abusive. And for a long time, I would be struggling with this abuse from my dad and all this different stuff. And God completely healed it. It's great. And me and my dad have a great relationship. But there was a lot of stuff that I realized even like, so my dad, I'm 30. My dad, when I was 27, told me he was proud of me for the first time. And I didn't realize that it held that much weight. Like, I was like, at 14, I was called into ministry. At 15, I forgave my dad, and God really, like, opened up that door to me and my dad have a relationship. My parents got remarried. It was great. And when I was 20 years old, I re-gave my life to the Lord, and I was, like, all for it. I got baptized in a hot tub. Like, it was great. It was all these different things, right? But it was this mindset of, I didn't realize that I was still holding on to stuff that I just pressed down. There was stuff, and I was following Jesus. Like I was, from 20 to 27, I was pretty locked in. And I was doing everything that I can. And I didn't realize that I was prioritizing my surface level salvation. And I wasn't tackling the stuff that actually God wanted me to tackle. There's a difference between the surface level salvation and the salvation nobody sees. And so that's what we're going to talk briefly about tonight. Let's go to Colossians 3:2. Colossians 3:2 says this, says, set your minds on things that are above and not on things that are on earth. Verse 2, think about these things of heaven and not of earth. Don't shuffle along, eyes to the ground, absorbed with things right in front of you. Look up and be alert for what God is going to do around Jesus Christ. That's where the action is. Following Jesus is understanding that there are some things that we always have to look up towards, because if we look down with culture, sometimes it gets shaky. How many of you have already this week, like you wanted to fight someone? Right? Let's be real. Right? It's hard. It is hard in these streets of Colorado. It can be. It can be. When you're reverse John Cena and like, I have no legs, like no one can see, you know what I'm saying? Deers come at me, bro. Anyways, for me, right, when I get frustrated or when I get like in a place of like, man, Lord, I'm going to need you to do something because the hood Tim come out, like Tim McQuee's my hood girl name and I'm about to come out and fight someone, right? What do? I turn to the alternative. I listen to Christmas music. I support Christmas all year long. For those of you that think Christmas is after Thanksgiving, these altars are open. We will pray for you. You're probably somebody with an Android phone too, but it's totally fine. So what happens is we go through all these different systems and all that kind of stuff. Listen up. We go through all these different things. But the problem is what happens is, right? Like the Bible says, turn the other cheek. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to turn this cheek. You can punch this one. But, you know, like we can break it down all we want. But when it comes to a foundation in Christ and for us to always look towards heaven, it can be difficult. I'm 30 years old, and to be honest, I'll look up and be like, all right, there's clouds, so that means fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all these excuses that I come up with to be like, okay, I really need to focus on Jesus. What Colossians is telling us is to look up and look forward and to be present with Jesus and to make sure that we are locked in with Jesus as best as we can. Again, our jobs as Christians are not to be perfect. There's no way. The only person that was perfect was Jesus. Our walk with the Lord is never meant to be perfect. It's just meant to give our best. And so when I look at all these different features of Scripture and all these different scriptures, that passage and all these different things that come up, I'm like, okay, Lord, so you tell me to fix my eyes. Okay, how does that relate to me today? So if I'm in youth group on a Wednesday night, and on Thursday I go to school or I go to work, what does that look like for me? My youth pastors, they had amazing youth pastors. So my youth pastors, right? And they would have these two statements. Put your head down and work hard, right? Head down, work hard. So if in anybody going crazy, you just keep your head down and you work hard. But the second one was just do right. So when you're around friends or family or whatever and just life is not the best, or the situation that you're about to walk into is not the best, can I be honest with you? I got a flappy, I'm just going to do this because that's annoying me. I'm so sorry. So here's what happens, okay? Just do right, keep your head down and work hard. On Saturday night, Chala and her mom called me. I was not supposed to drive, and they were like, hey, do you want to go to Chick-fil-A? And I was like, yeah, probably not good for me, but sure, let's go do it. And we're at Chick-fil-A, and we're at Sonic, and all of a sudden, you just hear, bop, bop. Now, I thought it was gunfights, or like gunshots, and I was like, yo, I'm back in the hood. Like, it's not hunting season yet. You ain't coming after me there. But I noticed, and there was a huge crowd of people in the parking lot of Hobby Lobby, and what these guys did is they literally towed a broken down car and they dropped it off in the parking lot, and they were having people come over and spray paint and like beat the heck out of this truck and this car, right? Now, again, I'm from the big city. We don't do that. Normally things don't close at 9 p.m. where I'm from, so we have stuff to do. We have Chuck E. Cheese. We have Disneyland. We have other things. But out here in Grand Junction, that's fun. Like, y'all be over here just be like, we're going to go cow tipping and we're going to hit this car. Like, it is weird, right? It is a huge culture shock, okay? All these different things. Here's the deal. I'm all about having fun and making sure it's a safe environment, all that kind of stuff. But can I just be honest with you? The crowd that I saw there was not a crowd that I would look at and go, yeah, I can see myself hanging out with them, right? They're drinking, they're yelling, they're doing all these crazy things. And so for me, when I'm looking at our life and we look at the foundations of Christ, there are some things that we have to just go, better not, right? Pitch perfect joke. Okay, I'll try this side. Right? There's just some things we just don't do, right? There's things that we should go, that's probably not going to actually be the best for me, so maybe I should just not. Now, granted, again, I sound real Coloradan right now, okay? You know what I'm saying? I'll look on a Saturday, and it'll be like 7 p.m., and I'm like, man, I don't want to drive into the city. It's 8 minutes away. What is wrong with me? Gosh, Lord help me. Jesus help. Right? But it's true. So I don't know what's going on. I never knew. The only reason I know there's stuff going on in the parking lot of Hobby Lobby is because Angelo is like, shh, I'm showing up with my car. Shh, what's up, guys? Like, that's all I know, right? And so I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And then he goes and he takes selfies and stuff. He actually has an Instagram for his truck, so either follow him or pray for him, one of the two things that are happening there. I also have an Instagram for my dog, so fight me. Anyway, so like we have all these different things, and so I don't even know the direction of where we're going. And it has not affected me one bit. See, when you're around culture, when you're around people that are not helping you be the best that you can be, let's put it this way. If you don't have friends that are not following Jesus, can I be honest with you? It's okay. It's okay that you have friends that don't follow Jesus. It's only a problem is when you start acting the behaviors that they are acting. The problem is you know better. You know what it looks like to be a fully devoted follower of Jesus Christ. They don't. You cannot, I find it so funny when like Christians are like, oh my gosh, these people, these sinners, man, they're going crazy. Duh. You can't hate sinners for sinning. That's all they know, right? So we have to love them and show up. So you as friends being, okay, I accept Jesus, I know Jesus, I have a foundation in him. I'm going to be friends with these people, but I'm just not going to do what they do. You can be around them, right? I'll tell a story real quick. So I had a young man who, he would party all the time, and he would drink all the time. And we had a great conversation, and he was like, but I still, like I want to be there. I want to hang out with these friends because one day I want to invite them and stuff. And I was like, just don't do the behaviors that they do. So he goes to a party one time, and he has a red Solo cup, and they give him beer. And he immediately calls me. He's like, hey, I have beer in my hand. What do I do? And I was like, hold it. What? You're not going to yell at me? No, just go to the bathroom, dump it out real quick, and then just come out and be like, I'm driving, I have one more, right? Like, you're setting boundaries. It's not saying, now, the environment that he was in absolutely should not have been in there. But the problem is he was in the moment, and he didn't know what to do, but he called me. And I told him, I was like, if you need me to, I'll come pick you up. We'll go to McDonald's, all this kind of stuff, right? Like all these things. But he was able to be secure in who he was in Christ and not be waved by the culture and the people, right? There's things that you can do in your life. You can be around friends, but the minute that you start acting like them, it changes the game, okay? We got to move on. Point number 1, when looking at the priorities in your life, you have to look at life as a whole. You have to look at life. Where is my life going? Where do I want my life to go? And where is it heading? They all three sound the same, right? Right? Y'all with me? Yeah. Cool. Where's my life going? Where do I want it to be? And where am I heading? 3 things that almost sound absolutely identical are 3 completely different things. See, for me, where was my life going before I became a pastor? Well, I wanted to be a pastor, but I didn't know what to do, so I ended up doing photography. And then I ended up doing video work. And then I left. I still served at the church, but I ended up working at NBC. I got like all these cool stuff. I was working for Ellen DeGeneres, Steve Harvey, all these things. And I got to be able to work in a TV station. That's not really where my life, I wanted it to go, but God used it. Where my life was heading was in a place where, okay, I know where I'm going into ministry, but the only thing that was available at that moment was there, right? All these different things. You have to look at your life. The crazy thing is when you look at your life right now, with you guys in school and all this stuff, what's your priorities? Are you setting actual boundaries, right? Because there's one thing to just like, I'm just going to go hustle and grind and get everything done, but at the end of the day, when you go through the hustle and the grind of trying to get things done, what happens is your mind runs at 1,000 miles an hour, insecurities come in, depression comes in, and the enemy will really call you out for your stuff. And so when you look at your life and say, okay, I want a solid foundation in who Jesus is, I want to prioritize Jesus, look at your life. Am I setting clear boundaries? I used to say yes to everything, and it almost killed me. I had to look at my life and say, okay, I should really understand the power of no, right? So when my friends are like, hey, we're going to go hang out, you want to do this? I'm good. Why? I got church in the morning. You mean to tell me that you would rather, yeah, priorities. And also my mom would kill me. Like, random, like, but for reals. Hey, Wednesday nights, we're going to go do this. You want to come? Sorry, man, my priorities are youth group. I'm trying to be a better person. Awesome. It's okay if they don't see it. They're not the ones paying your bills. They're not the ones that are going to make sure you go to college, right? They are going to be the ones that are going to be living in the moment, and you can live in the moment too. But what are your priorities? What are you setting boundaries for? What are you doing with your life? Is it leading people to Jesus? Is it staying stagnant? Or are you just going with the flow? If you are the last 2, Lord help you. I'm sorry, but I don't believe in going with the flow. Because if you go with the flow, then you're going to get wrapped up in a bunch of stuff. And then about 3 to 6 months later, you're going to be like, Lord, why am I in this mess? Because you didn't handle the priorities before. Okay? Number 1, you look at life. Number 2, you got to identify distractions. There's a lot of stuff that we go through every single week, every single day. It's life, right? We have distractions. We have these things that we go through, right? And so for me, when I look at life and when I look at everything that we go, I kind of do this illustration where this is your life, right? Everybody can see it? It's your life. These are distractions. And this is God, okay? So for me, if in my life I get saved, I build a really solid foundation right there. Cool. I'm pretty set, right? I have a really good kickstarter. So then all these things come into my life, right? Like, okay, video games. Video games, okay. I don't play video games to save my life. But let me just be very, very clear. I have friends that are older than me that are addicted to this and their marriages are failing. So for those of you that are playing video games, set boundaries, take care of your business, and make sure you're not 30 years old and suffering because you can't get this taken care of. I wasn't going to go deep on video games, but for some reason, the Lord told me to do it. So if you're playing video games, lock it in. Don't be a 30-year-old person that can't handle your business. Right? Okay. We're going to go deep. Sorry, I didn't realize I was going to go deep. So, it's right there. I still have a lot of God, right? And then I show up on Wednesdays, right? I show up on Sundays. It's nice. It's right there. But then sometimes I go through things like my parents' divorce and I battle depression, right? Kind of get stuck on that. There's some other ones. Yeah, I can do that one last. That's fine. Ooh, relationships. Some of y'all feel like you cannot succeed in life unless you have a person. Side note, the person should be Jesus. Just fair warning. But I've only been here for 3 months. And I know that some of you have been through more relationships than I've gone to Chick-fil-A. I'm dead serious. Almost every week I've had a couple of you be like, oh, I love this guy's great. Oh my gosh, it's great. The next week, he's a jerk. Duh, he's 12. Can I tell you, I didn't fully understand who I was in Christ, but also who I was as a man until I was like 23 years old. Like, just so you know. So when you think you have it all together, best believe you don't. Right? Especially when, like, stuff hits the fan, it's going to go for it. But some of y'all rock this like it's the only thing that you should care about. And so we go through it. What happens is we start building, okay, cool, we got a little bit more. We're going to Valley Conference. We're going to all these different things. And, oh, I got a new phone. This one, wild. Like flipping wild. What are you sending to people? What are you receiving? What do your DMs look like? What do your screenshots look like? What kind of social media are you watching? Right? The problem is a lot of people don't know how to tackle this well, and it leads to a lot more that I'm about to read. Can I just be real with you? Y'all need to set better boundaries on this. I'm going to speak to the guys real quick. Real men don't ask girls for nude selfies. Real men don't talk to girls about coming over to their house late at night. Real men, and just dudes in general, but men of God, they respect women. Let me be honest with every single person in the room. I say this, and I've said it my entire time that I've been in ministry. Nothing good happens after 10 p.m., and this is what kills you. What does your FaceTimes look like? So, gentlemen, here at Victory Youth, we honor women. We respect women. I don't play this game, especially with men of God. Now, I'm going to talk to the ladies. Ladies, don't allow this into your phone. Respect yourselves. Understand that who God has called you to be is a lot better than the 30 seconds of that good feeling that guy wants to send you a DM to. We ain't got time for that, ladies. I will sit up here all day and have ladies after ladies cry about the guys that are ruining, because that is my job and that is what God has called me to do, and I am here for you. But you should have more respect to understand that just because somebody sends you a DM does not mean it's going to always be good. Oh, but I just want to see how far. Why? Why do you want to see how far it goes? For accountability. Block him. Any guy that slides into any part of your phone through social media, through text message, through FaceTime, that goes into a negative spot that makes you feel uncomfortable, kick rocks. Because they're not men. They're a bunch of boys who don't know how to handle their stuff. But they are also guys and girls who have so much insecurity that they feel all they can do is go out of that. So respect yourself, ladies. Fellas, let's set the example. That's as far as I'll go for that. So, we'll keep breaking it down, right? So we got social media. Again, we just tackled a lot of that. Vaping, that's stupid. I don't know why we play with that. You, see, let's go out. Your attitude. Some of y'all come in here with real bad attitudes, and we ain't got time for that. But I'm just saying, like, we just got to go with it, right? And so what happens is we go through all of these different phases. Friends, we talked about it a little bit last week. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Right? We have all these different ones. Addictions. Just for those of you that surprisingly have no idea, there's a trash can over here. And anytime, any Wednesday, that you feel like you are done vaping, you're done with porn, you're done with cutting yourself, and you want to write some things down that you want to let go, throughout any time during the worship service, you can write things down and drop things off over there. It's a no questions asked thing, but we believe that in our youth group, people are going to be set free from stuff, and we believe that it starts with letting go of physical stuff that are there. Okay, we're going to keep moving on, right? Ooh, sex. Stop doing it. Just don't. I got time to get into that, but just stop being stupid. I love you, but literally 5 minutes of fun is going to give you 5 years of pain. It ain't like that. Jesus wants you. Go from there, okay? Then we have God. Oh, we can fit God more in. I want to talk about this one real quick. So the average kid that watches porn for the first time is 8 years old now. I was 13. I was on the bus coming home. I was in the marching band, and literally I saw it, and it completely damaged me. And hear me out, because a lot of you are dealing with this. And you can cover it up with smirks. You can cover it up with jokes. But hear me out. If you don't get this fixed now, it will ruin your future. It will ruin your marriage. It will ruin everything that you actually stand for. And what happens is we have all these distractions. We don't get things taken care of. And so now, it's like, okay, we want to be able to have some time for the Lord. We just don't know. We have all these different things. And what happens is we keep going, okay, Lord, what else do you have for me? If I focus on Jesus and I do everything I can to fulfill his promise and just to be a good person, here's what happens. The stuff gets brought to light, it gets exposed, and then eventually it'll start trickling out. And you can look at all the different stuff. It rises up to where now every time that you have a relationship with Jesus, there's no room for your distractions. There's no room for any of this stuff in your life, right? Because why? Because I focus on Jesus, I eliminate distractions, and I put people in my life. Now all I have is Jesus, so then when all of a sudden sex wants to come in the room, it's exposed right at the top. I eliminate the distractions and I set the tone now. So then that way when all of these other things happen, I'm so fulfilled with Jesus that there's literally nothing that can stop me. Now I get it. Life happens and you get a little bit low. But you can only take someone as far as you've gone. So if you really want to put Jesus first, you always have to come back to youth group and say, okay, Lord, I need to be refilled. My battery's empty. Okay, so when I go to play video games and I'm getting addicted, oh my gosh, look at it, it's not going to be there. There's all these different features in our lives that if we don't tackle this now, if we don't put Jesus first, all of these things, they're going to stay buried. And you will go 20, 30 years with so much pain that you cannot handle it. You have to eliminate distractions. You have to. Let's go to point number 3, because I'm almost done. You got to clear priorities. You have to say, man, God, this is exactly what I want. This is exactly what I need to do, so I don't get caught up in having all of these different distractions become who I am. Because here's what I'll tell you. The minute that you allow distractions and all of these other things become a priority, it will show the minute you walk in the door. It will show. I can literally go have a conversation with somebody and tell that they have not been in their word, that they have not spent time with Jesus. Why? Because they have all of these other things that they prioritize over Jesus. So my question to you is this. How are you actually doing? My mom, she never asks like, how are you, baby? She's always like, how's your heart? And I'm like, gutsy, right? How's your heart? Last week we said it, your heart will move in the direction of your strongest thoughts. So what are your thoughts on? What are you looking at? When you go to school tomorrow, are you actually going to go to school tomorrow ready to go and like, I want to be there for those people who don't know Jesus? Or are you like, I got too much stuff to handle? Get this right first. Put your priorities in Jesus. It's not going to be perfect. Trust me, it won't. But if you put your priorities in Jesus, I promise you, you'll be able to withstand literally anything. It's going to get rough. but God will walk you through it. Clear priorities means you got to be accountable to. You can't do life alone. So here's 3 things. We'll skip that one. Let's go to the 3 things real quick. You got to make time for God. Duh. Like, in order for you to actually have this, so you can make sure all of this stuff is not in your life, or at least it's exposed to where you can do life with people, make time with God. Second, you got to ask for help. I was 20 years old when I finally was able to get help. Why? Because it almost backfired and almost took out my life. I was struggling with porn. I couldn't fight it. I thought I can do it on my own. And I had depression, I had anxiety, I had all these different things. And it almost made me take my life because I was so embarrassed. God, you called me to do this, but I'm so stuck on this. So I might as well just take it out. And finally, I was so scared. I went to my youth pastor. I was like, I don't know what to do. I sat in his office. And he stood by me. He was there with me. And he walked me through it. So now, when I get married, I can stand up in front of my wife and say, I did everything that I could to honor you. I wasn't perfect, but I at least tried. That's the same thing. God doesn't need perfection. He just needs your obedience to say, God, I suck at this. I just need you. And he's like, bet, I got you. What happens is you ask for help. And the last one is you don't do life alone. My thing is this. Jesus had 12 homies. There's no excuse for you not to. But you can't do life alone. Can I tell you, I've been here for 3 months now, and the first about month and a half was probably the loneliest I've ever felt. I'm so thankful. Like, my birthday was coming up, right? And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do for my birthday. And Gina was like, we're going to go out to dinner, blah, blah. Not thinking anything of it. I turned the corner, and there was just this group of people that took time for me. If you're a leader, stand up right now. Every student, look around. When you turn the corner, they make time for you. All of these people. Steve, Desiree, stand up. What are you doing? Sit down. Get your butt up. No, you're a part of the family. Whatever you're going through, we all got your back. Listen, there is nothing that you can come up with that is going to scare us. We've been through it all. A lot of us have seen it all. But we're here for you. You cannot do life alone. I'm going to speak. Y'all can sit down real quick. Let me speak from my heart, and then I'm going to pray. And my heart is that you guys don't take this any offensive or anything, but just hear my heart. If you know me, you love me, you'll hear this because I believe this is the Lord. For some of you that make this a once-a-month youth group, for some of you that are like, I'm going to go do me, I got other priorities, and I'll make this, what would it look like for the rest of the year you committed to God that you're going to show up every Wednesday? Listen, I get life happens. But if I come up to you and say, hey, man, I haven't seen you in a while. Girl, what you been up to? Oh, I've just been around. And then we start having more conversations and then come to find out that your life is kind of struggling. It's like, well, are you around the right people? Probably not. Okay, cool, let's do it. Hear my heart, hear my heart, hear my heart. All we want to do is do life with you and point you closer to Jesus. That's it. We'll do it in a fun way. I'll wear more camo pants. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. My shirt matches my shoes. I'm trying, right? Like, whatever you want to do for us to help you become fully devoted followers of Jesus, let's do it. Listen, I will go to hell to hang out with you and bring you back up. I'll do it. You're at a party, you need me to come pick you up? Bet. I picked up a student one time in Sacramento at a rave, and they were passed out, and they crowd surfed her on the way over because she was drugged. Like, we've done it all. Our leaders have seen it all. But we're here for you. So for those of you that are like, man, I just don't know if this is going to work, let me encourage you. Give it a chance. And if there's something you don't like, come talk to us. I don't get offended for nothing. I got wings. I ain't got. Do you see this? Does this look like I get offended? No. We did a survey, and everyone's like, "You had a youth do the survey?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to make this for like the youth and stuff." I don't get offended. This is not my youth group. This is God's. It's yours.